The Serb withdrawal is complete. NATO troops are now entering Kosovo. The war is officially over.
Crimes Tribunal announced today that it will be releasing a list of suspected war criminals in Kosovo.
G7 today pledged a massive rebuilding program for Kosovo.
Far from the eyes of the international media, thousands of Kosovars form a human blockade on the road to Rahovec. Stretching for miles, the roadblock has displaced ordinary people and their belongings. The scene of people living in the hills instantly recalls the images of the war in Kosovo. But the question is, with NATO in charge, why have these people left their homes? NATO has assigned Russian troops to protect this region. The people of Rahovec call the Russians murderers who committed war crimes alongside the Serbs.
There's no way we can allow Russians into Rahovec because they're the same as Serbs. They will unite and commit crimes again. They have killed pregnant women and they have killed children with axes. We have collected evidence and we've given it to K4. We're surprised that nothing has been done. What kind of democracy is this?
Away from the blockade, these graves are a silent reminder of the carnage that took place.
A girl, 3 girls, an entire family. Here are 2 brothers, a wife, and 3 girls.
Some of the victims were children as young as 1 and 3. In another part of Kosovo, another remarkable story. Muslim soldiers from the UAE army are taking part in protecting a Serbian enclave in Mitrovica.
We are in the French sector and we are under French command now. We are sharing the responsibility of the area. This field has been given to us to clear it.
These Muslim soldiers provide safety and humanitarian aid to over 3,000 Serbian men, women, and children. The irony of the situation is not lost on the Serbs of Mitrovica. But in the West, this story will probably never get any coverage. For the first time since ethnic cleansing began in Kosovo, a team of medical professionals visit this remote village. Volunteer doctors from Malaysia set up a makeshift clinic. Compassion and faith help to compensate for the differences in cultures and the lack of resources.
محمد رسول الله لا إله إلا الله لا إله ilaha illallah Muhammad.
For some patients, physical illness is a minor problem compared with the torment of their souls.
This gentleman's son, the fifth in the family, 30 years old, was taken away from the house by the Serbs, and he was tortured in front of the family, and he witnessed everything.
And they tied him and said, "Give me the money." We will not have money to get them. And they, in front of one of the family, and then they take him with them, with Serbs.
The old man, he was having physical complaints. When I was talking to him, we noticed that he was having more than that. He was actually suffering from what we call a post-traumatic stress disorder.
It's estimated that 70% of Kosovo's infrastructure has been destroyed. Throughout the country, the horrors of war are etched on the landscape. Wherever the Serbs encountered resistance from the Muslims of Kosovo, they responded with an age-old tactic: show no mercy to those who offer opposition. Whether it's a matter of switching on a light or simply making a phone call, nothing is taken for granted in Kosovo anymore. Every family in Kosovo has experienced devastation of one kind or another. A special target of Serbian forces were the masjids of Kosovo. Between 50 to 70% of Kosovo's masjids now lie in ruins. Although Kosovo no longer dominates the headlines, its most engaging stories are only now being told. From one end of the country to the other, ordinary people are struggling to overcome the ravages of war. Many of them still cherish some hope for the future, despite having lost everything. The theater of war has been replaced by the drama of its aftermath. This man's home was invaded by Serbs who demanded money. When they found none, they began to destroy everything in the house. They also shot and killed his younger brother. His brother's wife and children are living a nightmare that is far from over. Outside this masjid, widows and orphans wait to receive charity. On March 26, 1999, this masjid was the scene of war crimes. Inside the women's section, Serbian forces robbed and raped women at will. Most of their male relatives were taken away and executed elsewhere.
They asked us for money. I had some and they let me go outside. They stopped two women and a girl. They took them inside. The girl and one woman had money, so they let them go. One woman didn't have any money, and we never saw her again. They kept us at the front of the masjid. They searched us again. They took everything. They checked my ears and opened my shirt. Some of the women were beaten. They took my earrings and necklace. They did this with all the women. Then they said, "Now you Albanians, go to Albania."
For these children, reports of rape and murder of their loved ones are as common as bedtime stories. The evil that took place in this masjid has changed their lives forever.
You could see some of them with their eyes open and keeping them staring in one place. You can see another one scared. Every child in Kosovo, especially in the region that have been hit mostly by the war, has a story to tell. And some of them are able to tell, and some of them, they don't know how to tell, and some of them have lost everything, lost their memory, lost their will to live, traumatized, their families being massacred in front of them.
We've been involved with Islamic Relief for a number of years now, starting with Palestine and Afghanistan and Iraq and Bosnia and so on. Very intensively in Bosnia, I've been there several times, and now to Kosovo. The work of dawah has to be at the time the relief is being done. Otherwise, basically what we're doing, we're clothing and we're feeding corpses. And along with physical needs, there is a big part of the person, of a human being, of a Muslim, that's a spiritual. That's that connection with your Creator, with the other people within your ummah, Muslim to Muslim, heart to heart. This is what we're talking about.
Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum salam. There are children that come around me and literally begging me to teach them the verses from the Quran. And I believe this is the responsibility of the Muslim Ummah from throughout the world, to come here and to give them whatever assistance possible, and the best of it is in terms of education. 2, 3.
We don't know how often that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bless us with an opportunity to do a much deeper work than just beyond feeding and clothing.
I've treated patients who have undergone great stresses in their life, catastrophes in their life. But very frankly, I have not met patients like I have met in the last many days. It's very wrong to say that it's all over. In fact, the real problem just started.
Decades of communist persecution almost robbed them of their faith. Ethnic cleansing almost robbed them of their country. And yet the people of Kosovo have not surrendered. Without waiting for NATO or the UN, 800,000 Kosovars returned to their homes. Many people are not waiting for the West to rebuild their country. Desolation is one face of Kosovo. Another is the will to survive.
I have been witness of many houses in Kosovo, from their own owners, their families. They're getting together and helping one another fixing their houses. Their will to stay and the love of that land was so high, and the morale was so high, I was not able to understand. After all this happened to them, they came back in a flash.
They took 36 people. On April 30th, the paramilitary tied them up and massacred them. 13 are buried here. 3 of them are children. 6 of them are my relatives, including my father. Even if all the other people in my family were to die, I still would want to see Kosovo rebuilt.
I have been in Kosovo in 1981. At that time, not even that you cannot talk about Islam, but everyone was embarrassed to be a Muslim. Today, that is gone. I have seen students, medical students, lawyers, engineers, coming to pray to the masjid. And I have seen a sister, doctor, wearing hijab in a hospital.
So Kosovars for the first time are actually allowed to look into their past, to look into their tradition. What faith, do we have? And Islam is in their background, it's in their culture, it's in their traditions. It was their way of life. And you find that with all the people, that you speak to, they remember, they would say, my grandmother used to pray, my mother used to pray, I don't, but my daughter will, inshallah.
The promise of foreign aid to Kosovo remains unfulfilled. It's almost certain that no funds will be given for reviving Kosovo's spiritual heritage. Adding insult to injury, the media image of Kosovars after the war has tried to create a link between Islam and intolerance.
This article here is one thing that I do not feel very good about it, because why don't you show mosque that has been destroyed?
Even in Malaysia, when I was talking to one of my colleagues who is a professor in the university, he asked me, why are you going to Kosovo? It's all over. Now the Kosovars are killing the Serbs. Alhamdulillah, it's been proven correct that first the Albanians are not killing Serbs here. We have got to correct this misconception that are being conveyed by people from the West who have given a skewed picture of the whole situation.
To understand the true potential of Muslims in Kosovo, we need to reflect on what can happen if people are given the freedom to learn the true teachings of Islam.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
The results can be remarkable. The Albanian Islamic Cultural Center stands as a testament to Islam's ability to transform communities. From a small masjid in Staten Island, AICC has established one of the largest Islamic centers in the entire state of New York. The masjid has come to symbolize a revival of Islam for an entire community.
1983. I was a young man and lost in the wild. The United States for me looked like a country where you can do everything. And everything was normal for me to do. Alhamdulillah, everything was normal for me to do. Alhamdulillah, I have met a brother, his name was Hafiz Dul Karnain Vardari, and brother Farid, that really talked about real, true Islam, what Islam is, how good it is to be Muslim. It's not a shame to say I'm a Muslim.
The founders of AICC had a vision to create an Islamic center modeled after the Prophet's mosque in Medina. The new masjid would be a place of prayer, a place for community gatherings, education, and more. For Albanian Muslims, many of whom were victims of communist propaganda and Western cultural domination, this project was a radical concept.
Construction we started in 1992, and really it was very good for the community here because they become together. And if you go back to these days and see how they become together, in big number of the people, every Saturday and Sunday, 60, 70 people come in and put their time to build this center what we have today.
I mean, just for no money. Happy to be here, laughing, and when the time was coming to pray, Brother Dhul-Qarnayn stopped everybody, said, no, we're gonna have to pray. This changed a lot of people's feeling about Islam, and a lot of people changed their mind, changed their way of living Islam.
This is our first year we open a full-time school, Islamic school, from pre-K up to first grade. We have also regular prayers, and also we have a weekend school from 6-year-old up to 14. And same time also we providing courses to learn how to read Quran, and also we are giving courses about computer.
My life has changed here and in my country. I live free, I live happy. Nothing could stop Islam in me anymore. And inshallah, many others that are not with us now, I will be an example to tell them that I have been where you are. Please leave that, because that is darkness. Is the worst that you can be. Come and see the light of Allah, the light of Islam, and the beauty of Islam.
During the Kosovo crisis, AICC played a leading role among Muslim organizations in North America. Before and during the war, the Albanian Islamic Cultural Center provided food, medicine, and other relief supplies to refugees. AICC was among the few organizations able to send relief to ethnic Albanians trapped inside Kosovo. 39 of these 40-foot containers were sponsored by AICC. They've also worked closely with over 30 organizations in Kosovo, Macedonia, Albania, and the United States. The Malaysian Medical Relief Team and Kosovo Task Force USA are but two of the many organizations that have collaborated with AICC.
The objective of coming here, besides giving medical aid to the Kosovars, a very important objective is also to be examples of good Muslims.
In addition, members of AICC regularly visit Kosovo in order to supervise relief efforts and survey future needs. The devastation and suffering they've witnessed has compelled them to keep reaching out to the people of Kosovo.
Once when I visited Albania and visited the refugees there, one older woman told me this story, and she said, once I tried to cook something for my nephews. Serbian soldiers came to me and asked me what you are cooking. I said, I am cooking something to give to eat my nephews. And he said, do you have any meats? I said, no, because we have no any animals to cut it and to cook. He said, okay, don't worry, I will find for you some meat. And he took my youngest nephew slaughtered him, cut his head, and threw it towards the fire and said, "Eat, it is meat, it will be good for you."
We saw an old man, he said, weeping, tears shedding from his eyes. The most that I miss is praying with Jamaat, because for 6 months now I haven't prayed Jummah prayer. Is there anyone that could build us a masjid?
AICC invites you to take part in restoring Kosovo's Islamic identity. The Albanian Islamic Cultural Center has embarked on a unique strategy to ensure that Islam becomes a vital part of Kosovo's reconstruction. With over half of Kosovo's masjids destroyed, AICC is committed to rebuilding the masjids of Kosovo with the same approach it adopted in the United States. For the first time since communist rule, masjids can once again become the heart of their communities. The new masjids of Kosovo will, inshallah, serve both the material and spiritual needs of Muslims.
We maybe saved their body, but we must try to save their soul too. We must build or rebuild masajids, but with many other activities to let them to come close and close to Islam. And only with this way we can save their soul.
They have an option. The option is open to them for the first time in their almost history, that they're free to choose. And I think that we are accountable to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help them make the right choices. You know, because there is other possibilities that they can take, and that would take them down the wrong path.
I believe that they need our guidance, and they have got every potential to lead pious lives among themselves. And one day, inshallah, they'll be contributors to the great Muslim Ummah.
And I believe that if we do, and if start our masajids in Kosovo to play the role which played in the time of our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I believe the people will come.
For all those who have suffered in Kosovo, these new masjids can be a place of peace, healing, and hope. The silent anguish of Kosovo's survivors is truly immense, and yet the thirst for Islam is greater than ever before. A dynamic model of an Islamic center has not been seen in Kosovo for generations. These centers can bring to the Muslims of Kosovo counseling, vocational training, education, humanitarian aid, and a new chance to strive for the best of this world and the best in the hereafter. AICC needs your generous support. The people of Kosovo are too precious to be forgotten.
In Kosovo, unfortunately this year, they're gonna wait and welcome Ramadan outside with no masjid to pray. And I could see that people waiting for iftar outside in their tents. And inshallah, having something to have iftar with. Some of them will remember their families being massacred and thinking and praying and making dua that inshallah, Allah will give them peace in the next world. Inshallah, we are able to console them and to give them hope that one day they will leave that into the past and they will go on with the future.